Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about the South Node in the 12th house in the natal horoscope. As most of you know, the South Node is connected with what we generally may emphasize very strongly and perhaps overemphasize in the first half of our lives. We hit a point approximately around age 30 that we find out that this is it's been there, done that. It's somewhat monotonous. I look at this as the redundant point in a person's horoscope, and we begin to often feel compelled to go to our North Node. While we don't necessarily eradicate the South Node completely, we generally will integrate it at least a little bit with the North Node at that point in time when we hit around that period around age 30 or so. So anyway, first thing we'll get with is that the South Node, we know the 12th house is connected with our, I guess you could say, seclusion, solitude. Could even be connected with hospitals, prisons, its limitations, restrictions. And we look at this, and this could be somebody that may have overemphasized maybe the seclusion, the solitude early on in their lives. There may have been a deep need for introspection, reflection, and perhaps meditation. And look at this, and the person that has this placement may have done a lot of evaluation, I should say self-evaluation, as far as what they felt his or her defaults or weaknesses may have been. And there comes a point in time where this person realizes, okay, I've done this, I've been there, I've done this, I've done a lot of self-analysis, and it's time to emphasize the work sphere more in my life. And the thing about this is, now the North Node, when people have the South Node in the 12th house, they obviously have the North Node in the 6th. And this is not to say necessarily that this person didn't emphasize work strongly in the first part of their lives. This person might have been actually very proficient at their particular job or profession and things that are connected with 6th house matters, as well as their health and hygiene, and as far as a daily routine. But there may have been something where maybe in the subconscious, which may have maybe precluded this person from maybe fulfilling their potential as far as their work and their employment life have gone. And what happens is, generally with this placement, is that the person that has the South Node in the 12th house realizes that there's a point in time where they need to really start emphasizing the work and the employment, the service to others, more so than they did in the first half. They did enough introspection. There was enough time in their seclusion, perhaps in their solitude, and a lot of thinking about what they're about and what their limitations are. At the same time, this person was more likely than not able to assess and ascertain what their really strong points were in his or herself. So that being said, this is a time when the person is able to come out and say, okay, I'm going to go and put all this emphasis on the work sphere of my life in full throttle. So basically what happens is this person, people that have this placement may have, I wouldn't say, I mean, in isolated cases there might have been hospitalization or some form of imprisonment. Now the hospitalization could have come from some physical injury, or perhaps maybe they had a family member that was hospitalized and might have dominated their time a lot. And the imprisonment is not necessarily a literal imprisonment or a jail, I should say. This could be something where this person put up maybe their walls, so to speak, and perhaps even limitations. They thought maybe they had it, but maybe it was maybe not quite. They might have limited themselves to some degree. Some limitations, restrictions may have been actually valid, but it's possible this person may have also kind of put themselves out from others to some degree, and may have it's perhaps there may have been exaggeration of fears or something that might have precluded this person from going into and maybe putting more in the in as far as the work, service, the employment part of their lives. In some isolated cases, since the North Node, and you should say the 6th house is connected with health, perhaps this was somewhat detrimental to the person's health, maybe to some degree, perhaps by maybe perhaps emphasizing maybe solitude and seclusion maybe a little more than what was necessary. So anyway, that's basically what it comes down to as far as we look at the South Node in the 12th house, and through this person, the 12th house is also connected, I guess you could say, like the unconscious and subconscious. So this person may have maybe even some fears that were embedded maybe in this person's unconscious and maybe didn't quite realize them to some degree, that might have inhibited some kind of progress in their work life. And what happens is when the person hits about 30 or so, they somewhat realize what's going on and said, okay, this is not, even though there might be some restrictions and limitations that are valid, this person might have undermined their own abilities to some degree and maybe impose some limitations in the process of doing this. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for the South Node in the 12th house in the natal horoscope. There's two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis on a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because a person astrologically is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.